I think he probably bought 6 cars before he took delivery of any of them. I've, of course, told innumerable stories about some of the worst clients on the planet or the worst deals because, well, let's be honest, those are the entertaining ones. Arguably more entertaining if other people told them, but regardless, talking about how smoothly business goes or how easy a deal was is really not a story. Yeah, I went into work today and a guy came in and bought a car and he wrote a check and it was great. Yep, that's it. But there is one client that is one of my best clients ever. I have a few of those, thankfully. I couldn't survive if I only had one best client, but he has a serious case of automotive ADD. He is in and out of cars frequently. Side note, thankfully he lives in a state where there's trade-in sales tax credit. Unlike Ohio, Ohio penalizes people with automotive ADD. It is absolutely ridiculous. You pay full sales tax every single time you buy a car, which, don't get me started on that. Anyway, this guy's bought, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 cars for me at this point. I lost count. But the first one he bought for me, he prepaid for a year of storage at our facility. And the guy lives on the East Coast, so he bought the car sight unseen and just said, I'll pick it up after the winter or something, or have you ship it out to me. I was like, okay, that's not the most odd request we've gotten. Certainly happy to make money twice off the same deal. About 3 months later, he decided to trade the car back in, having never taken delivery of it. I was like, wow, that's easy enough. The car's already here. I don't have to pay shipping. It hasn't had any miles put on it. No big deal. So he bought something else for me. And this trend continued. I learned after a while, we started to become friends, and he was talking to me, and he was in the hospital quite often, receiving treatments for stuff. It seemed like, in a sense, he was living vicariously through himself. He wanted to buy cars. He had had cars all his life, and he had an interesting taste in cars. I think the first car he bought for me was a stick shift Audi R8, which at the time was like 70 grand. They were a deal for a while. Everything was until 2020. It was kind of typically that price range or lower. He was never buying any crazy supercars. He always wanted to buy a NA1 NSX, but never did. And typically Porsche 996s, 997s, random, Audi A8L, the V8 one, the 4.2 liter, and some older Mercedes, just kind of random stuff. And he liked buying stuff off of Bring a Trailer and P-Car Market occasionally as well. But I'd always give him crap. It was like the cars that he got hit the worst on were the ones he didn't buy from us, because we always tried to take care of him and represent the cars honestly. And then he's buy these cars and way overpay on Bring a Trailer for something that was supposed to be the cleanest car ever, and then he'd trade it into us. I'm like, man, that's you kind of got taken on this one. So he'd always complain about those. I was like, listen, we didn't sell you this one. I'm going to lowball you because I don't know how good it is. If we didn't have something that he wanted, he'd find a way to buy something else from somebody else. So it's even with the best customers, loyalty is an ongoing exercise, because there's always something shiny out there that is interesting to them, and there's plenty of competition on the market. For a while, it seemed a little bit touch and go. I wasn't sure if that was going to be the last phone call I got from him, but he was buying cars from his hospital bed, and that gave him some sense of enjoyment and a distraction. Yeah, I was happy to oblige. It was always fun talking to him, and thankfully the treatments were successful, and he's been around and reasonably healthy for quite a while, and that's been also good, not just for him, but because we've continued to do business. But it was always funny because I think he probably bought 6 cars before he took delivery of any of them. So he bought half a dozen cars that just stayed in my warehouse, and I just roll over the storage from one to the next. So this was great for us. Really good. I was not exploiting him. That's, good business relationship. It goes both ways. He understands that he pays reasonable retail and gets reasonable trade in. Just because he didn't drive the cars doesn't mean he gets all his money back, despite what exotic car hacks might have you think about the resale value of depreciating exotic cars. I think the first time I met him, we've been doing business for 3 or 4 years, and we just met up at a random rest stop in Massachusetts off the highway. I was en route to Maine, and he was near where I was going through, so we just stopped and got off the exit, and I checked out one of his cars, and we chatted, and that was the first time that I met this client that I had been, done hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business with. So it was pretty great. Not every deal goes perfectly smoothly. Used cars are used cars, and I think we sent him one car that he was not particularly happy with, and so we took it back, and that's just what you do for good clients. And he traded in a Porsche 964 to us that wasn't quite as described, through no fault of his own. It was probably the service shop that had done stuff or not done stuff, and he was just representing it as best he knew. But we got underneath the car and found some stuff that we were concerned about, so we figured it out, got an adjustment on price, and moved on with the relationship. I almost lost him, though, over a practical joke. So despite us giving him what we thought was fair value on trade, he was always convinced that we were lowballing him. And he watches Bring a Trailer like a hawk as well, and some of his cars we'd sell on Bring a Trailer too. So he'd be like watching him, wow, you made too much money off me, whatever. And rarely that was the case. I mean, we typically made our normal margin. Every now and then, a car of his went for a lot extra money, and sometimes we'd share that with him to keep him happy. But yeah, he was always giving me crap, always convinced I was just trying to steal the car from him. And I'm like, no, listen, I got shipping, I got service, we've got overhead. Like, I'm not trying to rip the car from you. I just don't think it will sell for as much as you think it will sell for. To kind of play a joke on him one time, when he had been especially curmudgeonly about the trade-in price we were giving him, I put it on our website for like $20,000 more than it was conceivably worth on its best day. And this was a $20,000 car. So we're talking just a ridiculous asking price. And I texted him the link, and I got no response. And like an hour later, I put it back down to a normal price, because he checks our website every day. So I figured he'd get it or whatever. I just didn't hear from him. And I tried calling him to follow up. Nothing. So like, we didn't talk for months, which is like, 2 car deals down the drain with him. And so finally I got a hold of him. I was like, what's up? And he just, lit into me for, trying to rip him off on this deal. I was like, it was a joke. I was like, there's no way in heck that Audi or whatever you traded into us was going to sell for 40 grand. Like, you give us crap for lowballing you. I was just trying to like play into the joke. And like, I get that I have a dry sense of humor. I have to act more excited when I'm telling these stories because the camera makes me look, angry or whatever. I've been told I have RBF as well, so I have to be careful with my intonation and my wording when I'm texting people and everything, so I don't come across as just a complete jerk. I don't know how successful I am at that. I guess I shouldn't be surprised when people don't get my jokes. He did not get my joke at all. Did not think it was funny until I explained it to him, and once he got it, he was like, oh yeah, that would have been funny if I understood what you were doing. But he only checked the website once and got ticked off and never visited it again. But we're good now. We made up like a estranged couple, and and everything's fine. And he's bought like 5 more cars from us since then. And he's actually taken delivery of them, which has been great. And yeah, everything's wonderful. So that's just a good, wholesome story about a customer that I, prove that I'm not always complaining about people. I think that's an important lesson, both in friendships and in business relationships. It's not about things going perfectly all the time. The mark of a good friendship, I think, and business relationship is being able to disagree without being disagreeable, and to sort things out when things go wrong. Because listen, I'm a used car dealer. I can try to be as honest as I want, but used cars are used cars, and there's always an ethical struggle with selling anything because the seller is financially motivated to be less than truthful, whether it's something little or something big. That's a constant battle. What do you tell people? Do you tell people everything? Is it too much information for them? Do you tell them about that scratch, or will they not even notice it? Everything from that up to, what could be all the potential problems that could ever go wrong. Do you scare people based on what they might read on the forums, or do you just let them enjoy the car? So we've worked through every issue so far, and it's been a great relationship.
When you get a ticket, it might look something like this, but the first thing that you need to do is take a picture of that ticket and send it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. They've got brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they can help you find a ticket no matter where you get it in the United States by helping you find a local attorney that will do everything they can to help you avoid costly fines, insurance premium increases, points on your license, risk of suspension, even jail time. They've helped me out with this ticket and many others, and a lot of my friends as well. So check them out now at the link in the description below, or again, text your ticket to 305-305 to get the ticket clinic on your case. They are the perfect partner in your fight against any speeding ticket.